Are you dreading your next home repair? Don't. Crew Pros is your one-call solution for everything your home needs. Whether it's heating and air, plumbing, complete roof replacement, whole home generators, and electrical repairs. Our professionals get the job done right. Crew Pros is your single source for high-quality home services at affordable prices. For everything your home needs, Crew Pros. Remodel, repair, replace.
Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said, I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Grizz 901. I am your host, as always. I am Daniel Greer, and we are presented by Zach Jaworski State Farm, where they treat you like family. We have a fun-filled show tonight. It's going to be a good time. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about the different teams that are there. And then we're going to meander over and talk about the topic of a Copycat League. The GM of the Golden State Warriors, who people started copying the league much earlier than that. But he was the godfather of Copycat League because then people were trying to figure out who was the next Steph Curry. And so that we're going to talk a little bit about Grizzlies and figure that out about what other teams are going to do now after seeing this playoffs and then social media shenanigans. Oh, it's going to get hot. I am on the clock of the mock draft, and I will be giving out my pick, the number 11th overall for the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, we're not trading away Mikal, but we did trade away Ben Simmons and then we moved up to the 11th pick. Yeah, you probably don't care. I get it. No big deal. We're probably losing followers right now. We're losing people watching the show, but we're going to have some fun. Let's bring in our guy. All right, what up, Nate? What up, man?
What up? The music sounds not good again. We got to figure that out, bro.
Why does the music not sound good?
I don't know. Maybe it's just on my end, but it was freaking out. But I'm glad to know you're on the clock because that means I'm up next. So I was not sure where we were at.
Hey, let's both make our picks. Let's make our picks on the show.
Okay.
Oh, do you know who
I
you
am
want
a draft
next?
Expert. I think I do. I got to go look at who all's been drafted, to be honest. The past couple hours have been a bit of a blur in the Qualls household. So trying to keep up, but not doing a good job. But we'll do it live.
All right, we'll do it live. I'm not going to let you know. I'm not going to let you know who I'm taking, but I want you to be sweating this whole time on the show because I have the pick next, and I think I know who you want. I think I know, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so real quick from Dak Daniels, finally you followed us back on Twitter just so we're completely clear. Everybody's transparent. What does QTNA? Is Jaylen Brown more expensive, Dylan Brooks? Do you know what QTNA means? All right, I think that's a misspelling. I thought, listen, I'm old, and so sometimes, I don't know things. Grizz Company Maine, thank you. Hey, listen, you changed your name, but still same old guy. The Jaylen Brown trades are going to happen soon. Segment number 2, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of what we have going on. But before we get there, let's talk about joining the Insiders program. If you want to, please do. It's $5 a month. But what I thought about the other day was it's 17, a little bit under, but 17 cents a day. I don't know what you're doing with 17 cents, but I know over at Bluff City Bets, I can save you 17 cents a day, $5 a month. I've been red hot lately. I think I'm going to end the month up $1,000, but don't tell my wife. Hopefully she's not watching this, but I'm going to end up the month over 1,000 up. And so I promise you, I will save you at least $5 a month over there. Just come over there, hang out with us, join the community. We talk a lot about Grizzlies, but also we do some Bluff City Bets. We talk about other sports as well, the Tigers, talk about the Redbirds. We talk about whatever you're looking for. We probably have it if it's a local sport. We are not talking about the Louisville Cardinals. Nah, not doing it. All right, let's go ahead and get into our first topic of the day, and that is going to be the NBA Finals preview. The NBA Finals over in the Eastern Conference was very profitable for me personally, but overall, it was a great series. I've been riding Caleb Martin. I'm being very careful about what to do here in the finals. But NBA Finals preview, what are you thinking? Just these two teams, the Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat. What are you thinking?
Well, one is the finals that people deserve, as you can see down there in my little. It's not a hashtag. It's a comment below the name because I don't know what to call it. But I'm excited for it. I really was hoping it would be Nuggets Heat. I thought of the teams left once you got down to the Final Four. The Heat and Nuggets were the two teams I would most like to see win it. But my initial inclination is to be like Nuggets in 5 because of how dominant they've been. But I think we've all learned not to count this Heat team out. So I'm going to go Nuggets in 7. I'm going to go Nuggets in 7.
Wow.
I can't go against the Heat competing in this. After what they've done, they just grind you down.
Yeah.
I don't think they have something to stop Jokic. I just don't think they have anything for him. So I think the Nuggets pull it out, but I think it's competitive because I've learned my lesson to think otherwise watching the Heat this playoffs.
Yeah, so I think that this is going to be a better series than people are going to give it out to be. And I am, I'm on record probably many years ago. And Ryan Meadows, who used to be, mainly the mainstay here, that he has free basketball. Him and Cody, the other host there, are all over, and they love Jimmy Buckets, right? Jimmy Butler is their dude. And I'm on record as saying I don't see it. And I've said the same thing with David Roddy. I just don't see it. And and maybe it was me being blind and only seeing the regular season Jimmy and seeing a different side of, who Jimmy Butler is in the playoffs. I am completely flipped, just like I have on David Roddy. I am all over Jimmy. I think Jimmy's great, right? I think he does need a lot of help because he can't really do it all himself. He's a very good, consistent, stable player. And he's a guy that literally just has a high floor. It's a decent ceiling, very high ceiling, but his floor is so high, especially in the playoffs, that you really don't have what you had happen to you, such as the Celtics, like Jaylen Brown had happened to him. Jimmy Butler's his floor is so high. I just don't want to count him out. But my other favorite guy is Nikola Jokic. I love the Joker, man. I just think he plays old man basketball and says, I'm going to go this direction. If you want to stop me, feel free to stop me. I'm going to go, but I'm going to go this way. If you want to try, I'm going to go. And if you stop me a little bit, then I'm going to try to hit the open guy. That's just it. So I love him. I do think the Joker wins. I think they win it in 6 in Miami. But, man, I do not want to count out the Heat. A little betting advice is coming off of 9 days rest, I think the Denver Nuggets are going to be flat, 100%. I would go, if I was betting this, which I am, but if I was betting this, I would go Miami Heat first quarter, and then I would go the Denver Nuggets to win the game money line completely. Just game 1, and we'll work from there. But a little bit on the comments. Obviously, Dak Daniels got to us. Okay. So his first one he gave us was the QTNA is Jaylen Brown more expensive Dylan Brooks. And then he came back and told us questions that need answered.
Okay. We're too old. That's what I'm figuring out. Jaylen Brown more expensive than Dylan Brooks. Yeah. By a significant margin. If you're talking in hyperbole, like, is he going to cost the team's chances more than Dylan Brooks? No. He is a much better player than Dylan Brooks in every way, shape, and form.
And we haven't seen Dylan in a Western Conference final, so we don't know what that looks like.
Jaylen Brown's going to get double the money Dylan Brooks will get. and probably then some. So yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So Chris coming in saying when a player, what player doesn't need help? Since when is that a knock? I agree. I think everybody needs a little bit of help. But I do think that sometimes certain players need different things. And I think that you can look at these games and I think that some make their teammates much better, which I think the Joker does. I think he makes his teammates better. And I just think that Jimmy Butler needs a little bit of help, even though I just think he's so consistent. It's easy to get help around him to knock down some open shots. But we'll see. I just think that the Joker is going to just completely obliterate Bam Adebayo. That's the deciding factor for me.
I just don't know what you do to defend him. Like, what do you do? Send two? Okay, he's going to find the guy. What do you do? Rotate? Then that guy's going to find the next guy. Their system is just built to just destroy whatever defense you throw at him. If you play a zone, he's going to annihilate you.
Yeah.
You have to count on guys missing shots. And so far, they don't have enough guys missing shots on a given night for that to be effective. So, and I don't think it'll happen soon.
And I'm curious about Miami. Like, I know they're going to be dead dog tired. Like, they went through a series. Like, so the longer the series goes, the better Denver's chances are. Plus the altitude there in Denver. The reason I went 6 is because no matter what happens in Denver, they're going to split at the least, right? So Denver's going to win 1. Miami's going to win 1. I obviously do think that it could be possible that we could have a game that is Miami, Denver wins 2, and then Miami, you have a few days removed from that. You go back to Miami. Maybe they win there 2, and then Denver wins the next 2. But either way, the longer the series goes, the better it's going to help the Denver Nuggets because they're going to be, the fresher team in a sense. Mm-hmm. But overall, if it was me and I was going against, the Joker, I would probably go one-on-one, no matter who it is. I would go one-on-one, and I would go that direction and kind of see if we can figure out a way to just kind of hold him at bay and then make sure we kind of have a hand in everybody else's face. But we'll see. I don't know. So what'd you give for the series in the finals?
I said Nuggets in 7.
Nuggets. Okay, I got Nuggets in 6. And I think I like Miami more than you do. I even put Denver in 6.
I just think, the Miami thing is they just grind you down. And I mean, it could go anywhere from Nuggets in 4 to Heat in 6. I think it go anywhere, right? I mean, there's a chance that the Heat just have nothing for them and guys don't miss shots and the Nuggets win in 4 games.
Yeah.
Or the Heat could frustrate them and the Nuggets all of a sudden aren't making any of the shots they've been making for the past month and a half and the Heat win in 6. It's just, there's a lot of things that could happen, but I'm leaning more towards the Nuggets and their consistency. So I'll stick with that.
If it wasn't the Joker, if it was somebody else, I would probably kind of maybe not go that direction. But man, I love the Joker. I just think he's such a good player. And I think he's so consistent. Both of those guys, the Joker and Jimmy Butler, their floors are so high because no matter what you do to them, it's hard to take them out of a game because of what their style of play is. And we'll get into that. All right, enough of the NBA talk. Let's get into a little bit of the Grizzlies. We're going to go ahead to our next segment, and that's going to be the Copycat League. And so what we've seen in the playoffs in the past is we've seen different players. We've just seen different, I guess, coaching from the front office to the franchise to everybody. They completely shift what they're doing. And it's mainly because of what happens in the playoffs. And so if you had to give a guess of what happens right now in this playoffs and what's kind of occurred, what is the copycat thing for the next year?
Roll guys who can shoot. The same thing it was coming into this year. The same thing that killed the Grizzlies last year and won the Warriors a championship last year. It's always the other guys. And you have the stars. You got to have your stars show up. But that's a given. Everybody knows that at this point. What has gotten Miami and Denver, and even if you look at the teams they played, LA and Boston, to the points they got to, it was the stars doing what they were there to do. And then you had Rui Hachimura,
Austin
Austin Reeves, Derek White, Who else? Bruce Brown, Michael Porter Jr. You got all these guys making these plays for you. And then obviously the Heat are the prime example with Caleb Martin coming out of nowhere to win. I thought he probably should have won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, but he lost by 1 vote. So, yeah. And with it went to Jimmy Butler, but him, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, you got all these guys that are making the plays they have to make when the stars get swarmed and when defenses come to attack those guys. And if you don't have that, teams can game plan against you, a la Dylan Brooks being left wide open in the corner. So John Morant and Desmond Bane have no space to work with, and Jaren Jackson Jr., right? And so you got to have those guys. And that's, there's a piece that came out on the site today that I thought was really good, talking about OG Anunoby and DeMar DeRozan being good gets for Memphis. And those are the kind of plays I like, because the DeMar DeRozan one comes with Alex Caruso, who's another guy. And OG Anunoby, I feel like, is really, really good. Obviously the best of Dylan Brooks replacement, but he's not like a star, right? He's still just an elite role player. And even those are big splashes, but those little moves you make, like the Luke Kennard type moves, are what eventually push you over the top, right? And so you've got to be able to have those guys. They're the little moves on the edges of the roster that can come in and knock down shots for you, play defense for you, just make those little plays. You saw Derek White was about to get him back in the game before Jaylen Brown came and hucked up 3 threes that didn't make much sense, but got me the over I was looking for, so I'll take it on attempts, not makes. But those guys are the ones winning games when it comes down to it. And so that's going to be what the league has to do. And I think you see that with the way teams are building. And I think you see it with the way the Grizzlies are now looking to build. That Luke Kennard move was a move in that direction, right? Yeah. And you're going to see them do that more and more, I think. And if they can get a big splash, awesome. But if not, I just would love to have vets. And I would be more concerned with surrounding this young core with vets like a Bobby Portis, who I know we had Sean on last week. Going to be tough to get. But guys like that can just fill in those role minutes and play elite roles, that's what you need. And I think you're going to see it again and again and again, because you see it with both these teams now and the team that won it last year.
Yeah. What I would love is like a guy like DeMar, is like, you have a guy like him, that a player such, like John Morant, you can go to when you're struggling, when you're hitting those different walls as you're climbing the ladder of being a superstar. You can go to, and he can pull you out, because he's a player that, right, doesn't have the crazy high ceiling, but he has such a high floor that he's just going to be Mr. Consistent night in, night out. He's that type of player. And when also like a player like Ja can go to him, but also like keep taking those big leaps, and then you play through Ja, and then sometimes you pass it off to DeMar, and trying to figure out until you can take that next big leap. But in the same sense, a player like a DeMar DeRozan, like a Jimmy Butler, like those type of players, you can kind of go off to and lean on and depend on, because they're going to be there. But if you want to get to the heights that you're going to get to, we all know that John Morant is that guy. Like, he is that dude. That's why he wouldn't be traded straight up for a guy like what they say, Jaylen Brown. Is that Ben guy said?
Yeah.
Straight up, John Morant for whatever his name is. Yeah. Jaylen Brown. Yeah. Whatever. All right. That was dumb. Whoever that Ben guy is, I think he just says that just to create and stir us up.
He got clicks. That's for
clicks.
Sure.
We're gonna before social media shenanigans, which is going to be about 8:30, and about next 10 minutes, we're going to give our pick. So I know what mine is now. Do you know what yours is?
I believe I do.
Okay, cool. So we're going to get there. Hopefully you have 2 people, because if I take your guy, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to give you 2 hours to make your pick. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we're doing the Grizzly Bear Blues, but it's mainly the Bluff City Media Grizzlies. It's our mock draft. And so everybody who I guess is in Grizz Twitter that wants to be a part of it was a part of it, and they are a part of it. So we're going through the first 2 rounds, which are the only rounds, but the 2 rounds of picks. and we've been making trades. And so I have made a trade with the Nets, and I got off of Ben Simmons, and I got the 11th pick for the 21st, and whatever. I really don't even know. I mainly let Sean Coleman help me figure out who in the world I'm going to do. So, but we're going to go ahead and keep going the Copycat League stuff. So, let's talk about one thing that everybody's talking about, and this is going to bleed in a little bit into the social media shenanigans, but it is happening all over Twitter, and it's everywhere else. Now that we have seen the 19 turnover Jaylen Brown in a Eastern Conference Finals,
Okay.
what are we doing? Are we really going to give up Bane for Jaylen Brown? I know it's not going to happen. I know that money doesn't make sense, but can we end the conversation now?
Yeah, we can. I think it's as simple as that. I mean, I went and I looked at their stats earlier today just to make sure I wasn't crazy. And when you look at, I mean, not just this year's stats, but look at their age 24, right? So Jaylen Brown's 26 now. He's got 2 more years on Bane age-wise. If you look at the age 24 comparison, they are neck and neck with Bane being on higher efficiency. His PER is a little bit lower, but his defensive win percentage, his offensive win share, they're all higher. And he's got a higher assist numbers. And you look at the reason that a lot of Jaylen Brown's stats look like they're higher is that you look at their per game. If you go to their per 36 and per 100, Bane laps them on a lot of them, right? And then the biggest one for Memphis, though, and it's something that we talk about again and again and again, is the 3-point percentage. The 3-point percentage is what Memphis needs more than anything around Ja Morant. And Desmond Bane is just clearly a better 3-point shooter. Now, Jaylen Brown, when he gets cooking, I mean, it's one of those things where a guy, when he just gets hot, it's next out of this world. Right? He just goes crazy. And when he's doing that, he's a superstar. Like a bona fide superstar, can be the best player on the floor against any team, any player. But that's not who he is most of the time, right? And so Bane doesn't have the highest ceiling out of those two.
Yeah.
But when they're doing their everyday most consistent play, it's extremely comparable. And I think Bane's strengths play to what the Grizzlies are building better than what Brown would.
All right, so I know that we just saw Jaylen Brown in the Eastern Conference Finals, okay? And we saw that he was fine. Like the last game was terrible, but all right, so I'll put this up there just because I couldn't stop from laughing. Dez had 9 toes and went for 30 twice.
He couldn't go 10 toes down.
He was straight. He was missing a toe the whole time.
Good.
Or was it 11? Because it was split in half. So maybe it's 11 toes down. So I will say that Jaylen Brown, he struggled sometimes, right? But he's also under a microscope. But I just like Desmond Bane, his attitude and what he can give you. But I will say, they're both growing up right in front of our eyes, both Jaylen Brown and Desmond Bane. If the Grizzlies are in the Western Conference Finals against, I guess it would be the Denver Nuggets in that point. Do we think that we might have the same questions now about a guy like Desmond Bane because maybe he had too many turnovers, maybe he didn't hit the open shots? I just think that sometimes it can be unfair as these guys are growing up right in front of our eyes. I think it can be unfair. And so maybe a guy like Jaylen Brown, and this is the devil's advocate side of things, maybe a guy like Jaylen Brown is getting this stuff out, and he's also learning now where Desmond Bane, he hasn't got there yet. He hasn't had a chance to get those playoff scars. And so maybe this is a chance that both these guys could be really, really good, but also maybe Jaylen Brown could just be better in the end. I just, it's tough because they're under a microscope.
Well, and Jaylen Brown's got the forward build. He's got that wing build that everyone loves. And that's the
linebacker build.
I wouldn't say that, but he's a elite wing. And those are a hot commodity.
You're talking about Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, Jaylen
I'm
Brown.
sorry. I thought you were talking about Desmond Bain. That's
No,
why I said
sorry
it.
if I said Bain, but
linebacker.
no, Brown is that elite wing everybody craves, and he could end up being awesome. He could be a top 5 player in the league, but we just watched Desmond Bain carry the Grizzlies in some of these games and look like the best player on the floor with Ja Morant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Like, Bain's potential continues to look untapped, and you saw him really thrive until they were having to throw 2-3 guys at him. I mean, Desmond Bain was a guy the Lakers were most worried about in that series by the end of it. So you just never know. The problem is, one, Jaylen Brown's about to cost somebody $40 million plus and probably going to be the Celtics, and that's going to be borderline $50 million. The Grizzlies can't afford that. They got to pay Ja. They got to pay Jaren. They're going to end up paying Bain. If you bring on Jaylen Brown's contract as the Grizzlies, you're screwed. You're screwed. It just doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit what they're trying to do. It just doesn't, and it kills their team building. All of this to say, you're 100% right. The conversation gets unfair in times like this. Like, Jaylen Brown is still an awesome player.
Yeah.
Right. And even I'm sitting there watching him just basically implode last night. And I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to trade for this guy. And then I had to remind myself, okay, he is an all NBA player about to get
He's still good.
Paid $40 million plus for a reason. He is awesome. But I think Desmond Bain is going to, 1, end up being cheaper. 2, he's going to fit this team better with just his particular skill set. And 3, as of right now, he's at least comparable to Jaylen Brown. Even though I would not say he's as good as Jaylen Brown, he's at least comparable with the chance to be awesome, right? We have not seen the best of Desmond Bain yet.
Yeah.
So, and all of it's just not realistic, right? This is not something that Boston going to do anytime soon either.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier today. They got to get rid of some guards. They've got too many on there as is. So, but yeah, we're not going to hate on Jaylen Brown. It was brutal watching last night, but he's still an awesome player. I still would rather have Desmond Bain on this team than him. And we're not trading Ja Morant straight up.
We're definitely not trading Ja
Just
Morant.
to clarify.
No, absolutely. And shout out to our one of our local and one of our biggest listeners, Ed, man. I appreciate you. Always starting the pod, always the best. One of our biggest fans. And so I want to shout out you. But we will say that Desmond Bain, in the end, you would have to give up Desmond Bain and a Tyus Jones and probably a Zaire and somebody else just to figure out a way to make the money work. All of that does not make sense. And so that will not happen. It should not even be a conversation. It's not a conversation. So no big deal. We're going to move past that. Thankfully, our guy is about to get locked up. The old man grilling with this kid. Dude, I love Desmond Bain. My wife loves Desmond Bain probably more than I do.
With the foot up in the chair, that was hilarious.
Dude, Dez is the best, man. He is he's a good guy, man. He's one of the good guys, and so we always try to celebrate the good guys, but Desmond Bain seems to be one of the good guys. And so if we can anytime celebrate them, but just kind of talk about them, build them up, we always try to do that. So that's enough about him. Do you want to go ahead and get into social media shenanigans, or do you have anything else for this Copycat League?
I think that's all I got for the Copycat League. Let's go ahead and get into shenanigans.
All right, let's get into the shenanigans. But before we do, let's go ahead and give a shout out to Zach Jaworski, our presenting sponsor. You can give them a call at 901-794-3691. Earlier, we talked about being a Grizzlies Bluff City media insider. We talked about saving you $5 a month because that's all the insider costs, 17 cents a day. I can do that over at Bluff City Bets within the insiders program. But if you need another way to save $5 a month, just go over and join Zach Jaworski State Farm. They can save you money, but also give you a product that you can be proud of. Right now, currently, this is a very current state of my life. My wife cannot find her wedding ring. We are on day, was it 2? Just day 2. She doesn't leave it very many spots. She never misplaces it. We can't find it. Thank God, Zach Jaworski State Farm. Currently, I have a policy with them that covers jewelry, and so I am okay. I feel good about that. Zach does not know that we are missing a wedding ring, but he will very soon, probably tomorrow. But if you need them to cover anything, whether it is automobile, whether it is your jewelry, no matter what it is, renters, life, whatever, give them a call over at Zach Jaworski State Farm. Let them know the Grizz 901 team sent you at 901-794-3691. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the social media shenanigans real quick. But before we get there, I'm going to go ahead and make my pick. And then if you want to go ahead and make your pick now or wait, I know you might need a second. But my pick for the 11th pick in the whatever this is called, mock draft, I'm going to go for the Brooklyn Nets, Cason Wallace of Kentucky, which I'm going to Kentucky tomorrow, to Paducah, the beautiful, beautiful city of Paducah, Kentucky. Bring my wife and kids. We're gonna, you know what I told them? Talked them into it. There's a pool at the hotel. All right, so I'm going Cason Wallace. I'm going to go ahead and send Joe the text now, and so Joe knows I'm going with Cason Wallace. But do you want to make your pick, or are you going to wait and think about it?
Nope. I actually do know. I sort of figured you might be going guard route because I know you, and it'd be a blue blood guard no matter what. I was looking actually I was hoping Grady Dick would still be there. One, because I want to be the guy who drafts Grady Dick because I think it's an awesome name to be able to draft. But two, because
you were short. You were a little short on the dick.
Because I am the Thunder. So yeah, we should probably clarify who we are in this. You're the Brooklyn Nets. I'm the OKC Thunder. I was trying to get some shooting because I did make a trade. So Thunder fans know this before I make the pick. You have Tyrese Maxey on your team now. So congratulations to you. And you gained another first round pick in that trade because you gave up Josh Giddey and Isaiah Joe. So with that, giving up the size and Giddey, going and getting Tyrese Maxey to be able to play next to SGA as a great off-ball guard and three-point shooter. I saw what Ryan said. Trust me, I'm trying really hard not to lose my train of thought. I'm going to go with size and upside and get Leonard Miller from the G League at night.
Ooh, that's a great pick. You know who's going to love that? Ryan. I can't wait for his next comment because he loves Leonard Miller.
I went upside. I sort of went the same route as our beloved Grizzlies did a couple years ago. It was like, hey, who's a good upside pick to take here? Leonard Miller, big dude. He could be what Poku was supposed to be for the Thunder. So we're going to go with that. Again, I wanted to get the size after I went and got Maxey for Giddey and got Giddey off that team. So that's what we're going to do. Leonard Miller, G League Ignite. I guess I'll send Joe to text as well.
All this talk about size and missing out on dick. All right, so that was fun. So the Nets went Cason Wallace there, point guard, combo guard out of Kentucky, going to Brooklyn Nets in the mock draft, and then we're gonna go with Leonard Miller, who I love. Leonard Miller, he ended up going, instead of skipping school and going to the draft, he went to the G League this year, and so he is going now to OKC in our make-believe mock draft. So should be a lot of fun. And so I just got a text. I don't know if you can see this, but it says, Sean Coleman, proud of me. I did well. I won't say the other expletives that he put in there, but there's a lot. Maybe.
As long as he was still
who's
watching. That's all I care about.
Sean, good guy. I can't believe Ryan didn't say anything about your pick on Leonard Miller.
He's not watching anymore.
Come
on now. We know how this show works. He came in to make his Thunder Dick comment, and then he got off. That's what he did.
All right, let's go to social media shenanigans. There's been a lot that happened, obviously, and this is becoming my favorite segment for the simple fact that I do not have to do anything to prepare for this segment. So let's go ahead and go to you with social media shenanigans. We're talking about the mock draft. We've been talking about that. We just made our picks. I didn't realize that you were the next pick behind me. Obviously, that wasn't planned until I made a trade in general. But what are your social media shenanigans for this week?
Well, first off, this mock draft has been a ton of fun. I thought it would be a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Because you know me, drafting's not my thing. Other than the one Golden Boy pick I made last year with David Roddy, which has been
lucky.
Beautiful for us after I got mocked by everyone else on the show. It's okay. It's okay. Y'all can eat crow. I don't know how you like it, but you can have it. But drafting's not really my cup of tea. But being able to trade and get Tyrese Maxey, who is a player that I absolutely freaking love on the team I was trading for. And then I had a whole, this trade machine I put together was going to get one for all our Grizzlies people. OG Anunoby was going to Memphis. So you're all going to be happy. And then Pascal Siakam was going to be playing for the Thunder. It was going to be a heck of a trade, but I'd already used my loan. I guess we'll call it a trade exception for the purpose of these conversations. And so I wasn't able to do it, but it's been a lot of fun. And it's been fun to see people going back and forth and playing armchair GM, and makes you realize how difficult being an actual GM is. But that's been a lot of fun to do that. Real quick.
It just popped in my head because I know how much you like Maxey. All right. So this is not a marry, kill, whatever. This is just a top 3 grade. You know the game.
Bringing back the Thunder Dick comment.
Yeah. So grade these 3 guys, first, second, third, right?
Okay.
Tyrese Maxey.
You're going to make me do this.
Desmond Bane.
I know you're going to make me do this.
Jaylen Brown.
Oh, bro.
Listen, all 3 are exceptional. And your camera, the whole fact that it goes bright all of a sudden.
I'm so sorry.
Dark, I don't know what's happening.
For anybody who's watching the live feed or tuning in on YouTube, I have got the power of 7 suns going through this one window. And it's not usually like this. We did the same show last week, and this was not happening. And I'm trying to figure out how to not have it, but
dude, you need sunscreen on the right side of your face.
It's just my angelic presence. I'm not sure what you want me to do. The only thing I'm missing is a halo.
So give me 1, 2, or 3. I need Tyrese
I'm going
Maxey,
Brown.
Number 1
out of these 3 guys, dude.
Yeah. Okay. I'm asking a question. I'm just asking.
Yes. Sorry. There's levels to this. Let's just be clear.
Dak Daniels says Bane, Brown, Maxey.
Dak Daniels is paying too much attention. I love you, Dak. You're paying way too much attention to what happened last night. There's a reason Jaylen Brown is about to make $40 million as an all-NBA player, and the other 2 aren't. There just is, right? You can say part of it's the name on the front of his jersey. Jaylen Brown's awesome. So I can't argue with the guy who's already been all-NBA. I'm going to go Brown. I gotta go Maxey Bane.
No, my God.
I'm sorry.
Maxey over Bane?
Yes. But you know why? Because I watch the games. And let me tell you, Tyrese Maxey, he's trying to mute me, but I'm still here. I know I'm in the background.
What are we doing?
I don't know why you're cutting me off. I'm sorry. If anybody watches Tyrese Maxey when he gets in a starting point guard role, he's unbelievable. I'm sorry. He just is. He just is. I will say if you put Bane over Maxey, I wouldn't be mad about it. But to act like it's not a conversation is ridiculous. Tyrese Maxey,
conversation.
Awesome.
No, it's not. Come on. Bane is much better than Tyrese Maxey.
I think he's about to be, but if we're going off what we've seen, I'm telling you, Tyrese Maxey's awesome.
Put Desmond Bane with a guy like Joel Embiid, where you're wide open constantly. And yeah, as Chris Cummings may say, it's close. It is close. I'm not saying Tyrese Maxey is bad. I would have never traded Josh Giddey for Tyrese Maxey.
You're killing a little bit of shooting. So he's not as good of a shooter as Bane, but he's got the jaw quickness, and he's been all the downhill stuff. He is better at than Dez. And Dez is getting great at it. But he's just not there yet with the downhill game. I think we'll see it next year. I think next year Bane can prove me wrong. But listen, I'm sorry. I've seen what Maxey can do in that starter role. I'm saying that. They're all comparable.
Yeah, they are. Listen, that's why. Listen, it popped in my head.
They're all comparable.
And I thought the power of 7 suns on the right side of your face. I thought I had to share this with everybody because I thought it was a great, thought, because I know how much you love Maxey, obviously, and Bane. You love Bane, so I don't want to put that out there that you don't.
Right.
But the fact that Bane is doing all this with 9 toes is amazing. Like,
God, I knew you were
come
going to say
on,
something
he's
stupid
down
like
one.
that.
He's down a guy,
Dude. Listen, I think Bane and Maxey are interchangeable. It's not an easy thing, but if I had to go on base of what I've seen so far, I'm going to take Maxey. Just am.
All right. So, all right, we've completely derailed this segment. So, got another 5 or so minutes. So we can go as long as we need to, but let's go ahead and go to the social media shenanigans. I'll give mine. I do like Jaylen Brown, so I'm going to go ahead and give Jaylen Brown the number 1 nod as well. But I will go Bane and then Maxey. I'm not as big on Maxey. You can give me Josh Giddey and Tyrese Maxey, and I would take Josh Giddey over Tyrese Maxey. I love Josh Giddey. I think he is. I would say that outside of the Memphis Grizzlies, that I love Josh Giddey. I love Luka. Before Luka got so whiny, but I still love Luka. And there's probably some other players that I really love. But outside of the Grizzlies, Josh Giddey is on my top 3 that I love watching play basketball. And so anyway, I'll give mine. But let's go ahead and go to social media shenanigans. I'm a little biased, but I'm not a big. I'm Tyrese Maxey's fine.
He's very, very good.
He is good.
Player.
He's a great player.
He's awesome. You know, I value buckets. That's what I value. And Tyrese Maxey gets them. So does Desmond Bane, though. Other than that, to be honest, I've been a little unplugged on the socials. The only thing I saw were the Jaylen Brown trade machines, still active until last night, at which point they all came crashing down, which is crazy because this is the best value you could possibly get at this point. So this would be the time to fire him up, in my opinion. But other than that, I've seen a lot of stuff about what role players the Grizzlies should be trying to go get from teams that are in the Final Four or in the NBA Finals. I'm just like wondering, might be like, hey, a lot of these guys are probably not going to be too keen on getting rid of. Just a reminder. Yeah. But there are a lot of players out there that I think are fun to think about being on the Grizzlies, like a Derek White, like a Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin type player, which Caleb Martin has made himself a good amount of money for his next contract. I think he's up for in 2 years. I think he's got a player option in 2 years. Maybe it's a team option, but
player option.
I figured it probably would be at this point in his career. But Gabe Vincent be awesome to have. Max Strus. I mean, the Heat just have all these guys, but then you always wonder, is it going to be the Heat curse if they leave, where they were awesome in a Miami uniform and then Justice Winslow us once they arrive in Beale Street Blue. So you just don't know what's going to happen. But it's fun. It's fun to talk about all these different players. And for me, I mean, we already talked about it earlier in the show. I'm all about the tiny splash elite role players. Those are my favorite kind of moves teams can make. This the little things on the margins that move the needle. And so these are my kind of conversations. I love seeing it go around, trying to get these guys instead of the Brad Beal, Kevin Durant, Jaylen Browns of the world, right? So I think it's a lot of fun, but I know that's the main thing I saw is what role players should Memphis get, which is the conversation I always want to have. I'm very happy about it.
So, yeah, so I like that too. So I often look at who can you surround around a guy like Ja, Bane, Jaren. Like those are the 3 guys. Obviously, Steve-O is going to be back. I would imagine he is going to be the starting center. The question mark around who replaces Dylan Brooks, who knows? But I look at players like Zaire Williams, David Roddy, Jake LaRavia, the power of 7 suns coming on the right side of your face. Like I look at that and I wonder, can one of those guys step up? So it popped in my head just now, big brain that I have. If you had to bet on one of those guys stepping up this next season, outside of the 4 I talked about, right? And I'm including Steven Adams in that. If you had to talk about somebody stepping up into that role, who would be that guy? And you know what? Let's take Luke Kennard out of the way because I think Luke Kennard is a guy that has shown consistency. I don't think he's a starter, but I think he's a guy that can close games with you. He's a guy that comes off the bench for you. Let's go ahead and make him one of the 5 that we throw out. So let's throw out Luka. The young guys. Who would be one of the ones that you would say, hey, I'm going to pinpoint this guy. He's going to step up and fill a role.
He called him Luka. Like, he ain't that good.
Luke, sorry.
A lot better 3-point shooter. I think Luka's like 32, 33%, but no one talks
Luka's
about that.
Bad, man.
I mean, you already know.
I know you're going with Roddy.
You know who it is. And it's because we've seen him. We've seen him do it, right? It's the same, but I will say it's the same thing we saw with Zaire in his rookie year. We saw Zaire do flashes. I don't think Zaire was ever as consistent as Roddy. Like, Roddy got to the point you kind of trusted him with the ball in his hands a little bit more. I did. Yeah. By the end of the season, I got to where I was like, okay, I trust Roddy with the ball in his hands to make the right play. He may not make the shot. He may not do anything crazy. He may not end in a bucket, but he's going to do what he's supposed to do. Whereas Zaire is always a little more of a worry. But I thought Zaire was going to show up and do that this past year as well. So there's always a chance that doesn't happen. But I think the regression we saw with Zaire had a lot to do with injuries and it's not the norm. That's very much so the exception. Roddy's only going to get better. And he came in to the NBA as a guy who was supposed to just be able to be solid. And that's what he was. And so you need to go find a guy to replace Dillon Brooks in the starting lineup. It's not like I hate David Roddy being in there. It's just that the Grizzlies, if you want to get pushed over the top, you need to make that kind of move.
That's the difference right there is regular season wise, dude, I would just slide David Roddy in, Dillon Brooks out. And I think you have the same record as you had this last season. I really do. I just think David Roddy is that type of player who you can put in there. He's a high floor player. He's not going to wow you and just completely just take you over the top, but he's a high floor player. He's a regular season player. He's a guy that you can play in the playoffs, but he's not going to be a go-to guy. And that's okay. Right. Not everybody needs to be a go-to guy. But I know Grizz Company Main, he put that out there this week, I believe, about Zaire Williams and his on-ball creativity that he was doing. Putting the ball into his hands a little bit more than just being him on a catch and shoot in the short corner, being a slasher, I guess, somebody who goes to the rim, catches the alley-oop. I wonder if Zaire can try to find some magic this offseason. I wonder if he can kind of get his head right. I believe he can. I think you're going to see the jump this next season right here then that we kind of thought that he would take. I don't think he's going to miss. I think he's going to take the little bit of the jump that he needed to take. But I'm curious can you have 2, maybe 3 young guys? You're talking about Santi, young guy. You're talking about a guy like Z, Roddy. Can they all be young guys and come off the bench and be their best version of themselves? Like, I don't know if that's possible. Do you need to slide one into the starting role and then you fill in your bench with veterans like a guy like Bobby Portis?
You need to trade one of them.
You can
trade one of them. Trade one of them.
Yeah.
You don't. Zaire, the book always can be written on somebody because we've seen that happen before, but it would be a silly bet to make that the book is written on Zaire Williams. We've seen the potential, and we've seen the potential play out with results in the playoffs against the eventual champion Warriors. It's not like Zaire can't. It's will he be able to reach that potential? And if he doesn't have the injuries, if he's able to come in and do that, there's a lot different conversations about the Grizzlies offseason, what they need to get. Right, that wing need all of a sudden it seem as big as Zaire takes a leap in year 2, but then you come in with the problems of you still need vets. You just got too many young guys. And I think unfortunately it's probably an uphill battle for Jake LaRavia because you've already got Roddy who's came in and produced, and he's a gadget type player, which every team I think needs. And then you have Zaire who has the highest ceiling out of all of them. And you would hope he comes back able to live up to it. And then they're not getting rid of Santi. Has the ability to be just like a freako disadvantaged player. He's got to be better on defense. He's got to get a lot better on defense. But offensively, we saw that explosion from him this year where he's like all of a sudden one of the best players on the team a lot of nights. So you got to be able to keep him in the fold. You don't get 7-footers like that, like Leonard Miller. Congratulations, OKC. You don't get that all the time. So in my mind, Laravia is probably the odd man out. But you gotta bring somebody in to fill in Dylan Brooks' role and then let those guys be young guys off the bench that can be spark plugs for you. You don't want them starting if you're looking to contend. So you can't slide them into the starting lineup. And quite frankly, you got too many of them as is, unless they all just come around with force, right? So unless they all come around and they're just absolutely playing out of their minds, take the leap that none of us see coming, I don't think there's any chance you have all three of them on the team at the end of next year.
Yeah, so Zaire is the top of the separation on the contract. So you have Jaren, obviously making the most amount of money, and then you have Luke, who I didn't realize this. He's making $14 million, but he has a club option for next season at this exact same number on his contract. And so if you do want him for the next 2 years, you have him under control, with the club option. And then obviously then you have Tyus at 14, Steve-O at 12.6, and then you have Brandon Clark at 12.5. After that, that's the big separation. It's the fall off. Then you have Zaire at the top, 4.8, and then you're going to go down at Dez at 3.8, which is still funny to me that Zaire is making more than Dez and Bay, and then it kind of and then it falls down from there. But you do have guys that I don't worry about. Xavier Tillman and Kenny Lofton Jr. Right, that's going to figure itself out. That's going to be a deal. Jitty, I think Jitty's going to just be a guy that could be put into a trade, whether it's this year or whether he makes 3 times the amount he makes right now and makes $6 million next year in his contract extension, and then he gets traded then because he's a little bit bigger bite in a trade. Who knows? But I think that because these other guys have played so well at times and played so bad at times, there's going to be a lot of stuff answered. But the front office has to figure out. They went and got Jake LaRavia, right? And he hasn't played well. They traded up and traded Melton away to get David Roddy. He's played well enough to say, hey, that actually isn't as bad of a trade as we thought. Then Zaire Williams. He played good in his first year, bad in his second year, but you went ahead and made all the trades, which in the end is still as good, but you got Zaire Williams. Does this front office go back and say, we're going to go ahead and say we made a mistake, and they go ahead and send him out on a trade? You can then say, we traded our best draft pick that we've had under this regime. I don't know. I'm just curious about how everything goes in the offseason. The offseason is going to be a lot of questions that are going to get answered. But I just don't know what's going to happen. But we're going to see a lot of trades happen on social media for sure over the next probably month or two.
Yep, and let's just all keep in mind that while a lot of talent comes out of all three of those guys, only one of them rose up and put Zubac on the poster of all posters last season. So let's not forget that, and that's a difference maker in my book. I'm just saying. By the way, the sun went down. Can you tell?
I can tell you look normal again. You look normal.
But yeah, I do think I really want to go to Summer League this year. We'll see if I can make that happen. But I think you'll see Zaire play in that. You'll see obviously Roddy and LaRavia playing in it. There's always a chance the Grizzlies keep their pick and our draft. I know poor Joe's been trying to trade that pick left and right, and nobody wants the 25th pick. Again, it's hard being a GM. Hopefully Zach Kleiman has a little bit of better luck, but yeah, we'll see. If they keep that pick, there's always a chance to see rookies, but I'm more excited to see the sophomore play and then see Zaire Williams back in there. So there's a lot that could happen, but I just can't imagine all three of them are there. That's the main thing. I can't imagine all three of them are there. Santhi will be there. Tillman will be there probably, I think.
He's too cheap right now.
Yeah, the only thing is if he's the piece that can make something happen. I think they'll move him, but they don't want to. And Junior will be there for sure. So,
yeah, I agree. Next week, we have Rafael Barlow. He is going to be on here. We're going to talk about the draft. Next 3 shows. Okay. So just so we're all on the same page, the next 3 shows, we will have Rafael Barlow on the 6th, the 13th. We're going to have our guy. He didn't send anything back. Mr. Thunder Dick himself. Ryan Meadows is going to be here. He's going to join us. And then our resident expert, our draft expert, Chip Williams, will be here on the 20th, which is 2 days prior to the draft. He is our head draft analyst with Bluff City Media. And so he'll be here. So for the next 3 shows, we're going to have all draft stuff. So make sure that you come over, join us, ask questions. Rafael will be here on the next show. And so tell your friends, right? And I know we always say that all the time. Be nice and tell your friends, but tell your friends, have them come over, ask Rafael some questions. We've been talking recently, and I thanked him for being one of the people that kind of came on the show, but helped us. The last time we had him on the show, you weren't here, Nate. But that was the time we got a warning from YouTube because some clip that we showed was like not supposed to be showed. And so they gave us a strike, and his episode never aired, which is it's just funny.
How dare you?
I don't know if he knows that or not, but it never aired, so it was kind of funny. But yeah, that's all we have. But yeah, Rafael Barlow, Ryan Meadows, Chip Williams. Next 3 weeks, we'll have them come on, do a quick segment talking about all draft stuff, and so it'll be a fun show. It'll be packed because we're gonna do our normal stuff, but also have them on the show. And so it'll be a good time.
I thought I got 3 weeks off. Dang. Okay, I'll be here, I guess.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be.
You don't
here,
need me for
you take
draft
off
stuff. Come on, man.
You gotta do something, earn your money, man.
I'm not even a +0. I'm a net negative to those conversations. But I'll just be in the background. You just fade me to the back during that. It'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll put you on the small screen. All right, that's all we have. It's been a fun week. I'm glad that we were able to make our picks. I didn't realize we would be able to do that, and we were able to do that. But we're going to have the rest of the mock draft happening, so join us over there. Make fun of everyone but me. If you could, I appreciate that. But we're going to have a good rest of the week. Make sure you tune into Bluff City Bets. It'll be out in the morning. We're going to record that after this show right now. It will not be live. I apologize. But Bluff City Bets, we have 2 big announcements coming up on the show. So it should be out around noonish tomorrow. And so talking a little bit about golf, but also baseball, soccer, and the NBA finals. We have those 4 things we're going to talk about. And so should be a good time. But that's all we have. Let's have a great week. We'll be back here next week. As always, be nice and tell your friends.